go while we were coming in. So I guess we'll see what happens, huh? Never had that happen. So give me 1 sec.
Let's see if that does it.
And unfortunately.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. I meant William.
Yo.
Fortunately, it's still spinning.
I think I gotta call in again because I just switched my settings from default to specific.
All right.
I think that's what it was.
Call right back in, and we'll. I'm about to come on here, and we're good. So we got our start up, and as we're talking all this.
Okay, I will call right back and see if
that.
What was that?
Sounds good. Popped you right on.
I wonder why it keeps bringing me on with no video.
It's bizarre. I mean, this thing is a train wreck. Skype, all the disasters that they've done, all the stuff they've done to it. So I'm gonna pop. Hey, all right. So we're having some technical difficulties, everyone. Hi. We're having some technical difficulties here, trying to get Will on as our third call in, but he has sound at least. So hello to everyone. I appreciate the patience here. We're having some. Hey, Then, how are you? Glad to see you on. Sorry you missed Thursday night's game, but I'm glad to see you're on tonight. So now we haven't looked into Discord yet. We may do that as we get as we get a little bit bigger here. But I appreciate you being on, Then. So tonight, our 13th Gabbin at Lord Peaks Haven, which is unbelievable that we've done this many. So we're going to try something new tonight. We're going to do a little DM roundtable. So I've already
that's why we're having issues.
That's why we're having that's why we're having issues. And just think, we were just here Thursday night. If anyone showed up and watched, our group was actually in Lord Peaks Haven and Tring Lee to start the adventure off. You know, those that like Brian who forgot didn't watch. So
Just call me out. I get it.
That's okay. It's okay. So I know Then was busy too, and a couple of other people, but we had it was a good showing. It was a fun adventure. It was a one-nighter. We're not gonna we're gonna do some longer ones coming up here. So I wanted to say thank you very much to DM Will from Return to the Bandit Kingdoms and Wicked Studios. So, but Will, I know you're having problems with your video. Why don't you tell everyone about yourself and what you your DM style and what you're doing right now?
Yeah. Hey, hello everyone. I'm Will DM. Basically, I've started up and been running now we just had our 13th episode of Return to the Bandit Kingdoms, which is, of course, for all you Greyhawk fans, in the Bandit Kingdoms. Basically, it's something that I've been gaming, of course, probably just like all of you guys. Well, yeah, no, not probably. Since, late 70s, early 80s. I don't know if you would... I'm very improvisational. Always have been. I do prepare stuff, but I would definitely say that I'm more of an off-the-cuff kind of individual. Go with the flow of the players and where the players want to take different things. Although I'm sure there's plenty of ex-players of mine that'll tell you that I don't. I think the word railroad might have been used a time or two in the past, but that's probably more true of earlier days. But so I do that. I also am on a show called podcast called Storycraft RPG, where it's DM tips and advice on story creation, character creation, things along those lines. And that's pretty much it. I'm looking into starting a second stream, but not for a while yet.
Oh wow, cool.
I'm not DM Shane kind of crazy, you know what I mean?
Well, yeah, we
like 17 streams or whatever he's got going on now.
That's insane. Speaking of Shane, we invited him as well, and he had 2 today. He had 1 in the morning, and he has 1 starting at 8:30 Eastern, which is butts right up to when we normally finish on this. So
Right.
he sent his kindest apologies that he really couldn't make it. He had a family birthday or whatever. I understand that, man. He's so busy.
Yeah.
We put the invitation out to him as well. So,
Yeah.
but speaking of someone who's
he's a
going to be
great
adding
guy.
a stream to this channel shortly, go ahead, Mark. Give us your background, DMing.
Sure. So those of you who have seen me, obviously, I'm one of Jay's regular players, but I've also DM'd for a number of years. From time to time, when Jay and I both lived in the same state, there were times where I would actually DM to give Jay a little bit of a break, and usually within the same area. But I tend to do an awful lot more like city adventures. I always liked I fell in love with the box set of the Greyhawk City, and really loved all the character development that had happened in there. I also utilized an awful lot of stuff out of the Shieldlands as well. Some of my main characters that I have are from that area, and I had always liked it on the north part of the Near Div. And interestingly enough, after I had moved away for a time, Jay ended up taking it on and improvised on it an awful lot and improved it an awful lot, actually, to where now we have lots of characters that are actually from that area and like that area quite a lot.
Absolutely.
But, my actual style is really more about the role play than anything else. I don't do as much type of miniature types of stuff as Jay does, but essentially I like giving players the ability and the give them their free will, their free choice to really kind of fit themselves within the boundaries of what the rules were intended for. And so I try not to be a totally rules kind of a guy. But by the same token, I want to make sure that there's at least some boundaries that they can work within. So I've been playing since I was about 8 years old, so almost 40 plus years.
Wow.
So.
Yeah, and we go back to like 83.
Yeah.
Which is almost the beginning of my campaign. Almost. It's that
Almost.
long. It's that long. Mark was a couple years younger than Tim and Walt. So and my ex long time who's still playing, wow buddy, and GM DM Brian. So Brian, tell us a little about you and what you're doing now.
You can't say still playing because I just re-up, so it's not like I've been playing this entire time. So
he does shut down the computer.
Yeah, absolutely.
No. Unlike you guys, I have not been playing role-playing games that long. I started about 7 years ago. I've always been interested, but 7 years is when I finally took the dive. And you guys were playing the year I was born, 83. Look at that. So you guys would say you guys have been playing longer than I've been alive. So we went from a 5th edition. We are now in Star Wars, Edge of the Empire. After growing really sick of 5th editions and its mega dungeon stuff, because I, as a DM, am a very role-play guy. So we break out the minis every now and then, but for the most part, I'm more of the theater of the mind guy, just because where we're at a comic book shop, first off, we have a limited time frame. So to take the time to set up all the stuff, we did that in the beginning, but it becomes time sinks and that kind of stuff, because like you have to be out by 9. Like they don't give you leeway.
That sucks. 9 o'clock, do you imagine?
No.
Well, we started at 6 as well.
All right. So wait. What are you drinking?
We're to get started by that point.
All right. So
I'm drinking a yeast that has gone wild. This is like the last of the honey wheat of the keg that I have downstairs from what I brewed like a month ago, and my kegerator's out. So it has been sitting in like a ice water bath. On occasion, when I know I'm going to drink it, I get it in the ice to keep it cool. But because it's been hot more often than not, the yeast is a little taken over this one. So it's essentially a yeast beer now.
excellent, but you didn't tell. But you see, he's being really modest. He's got his site on YouTube, Bugbears and Brews, where he does a synopsis every. Listen.
Oh, nice.
You do a synopsis every week after your adventure, so that you tell about the whole story. And what do you call it? Banthas and Brews now with the Star Wars?
With Star Wars, yeah, with Star Wars. So D&D, it's Banthas and Brews, or sorry, Bugbears and Brews. Star Wars, it's Banthas and Brews. Yeah, so it's a recap of the game because I was doing written recaps, but the players didn't read them. So I started doing these recording ones because they take half the time. Because I just freeball it. And then I send them out, and then they can listen to it as they're doing work, and everybody's much more up to date whenever they come and play the next week. Like, oh yeah, that's what's going on, versus having to do a long recap. Once again, it says we only have that 3-hour time block. So, but during that, I do normally talk about a beer. Not any good way, because I'm not like going to the, oh, you can taste the this and that. Yeah, I brew, but I'm not one of those guys.
I tune in just to see what you're going to drink half the time. So for you, because I'm off of beer because of the possible celiac thing. Strongbow. Cheers.
Okay, Strongbow's not bad.
Cheers.
Yeah, Gracie really likes it. I picked her up some sort of Irish cider this weekend. She really dug that Irish pear cider. I forget the
excellent
brand of it was, but yeah.
Well,
Magners.
I know. I know we got a late start, but I just thought it'd be good to get a bunch of DMs together and talk about some things that some of the people online would like to have questions answered about, and some cool topics, and get a perspective from me, old school first, second edition with Mark. That you two guys, I'm assuming Will, you're 5e as well. Brian does 5e, and just to get some perspective on like what can happen in a game. Situations you run across as a DM, and how do you build up a following in a campaign, So I thought it'd be a cool thing to get us all together and just talk about that and, gab about that. So, I'm sorry, Will, I didn't send you, I make up these really shitty looking notes with my awful handwriting. So, we'll go through just some ideas, and it's open session. So if anyone online has a question, just ask it. So, you guys can get your chat up just in case you see something that comes across that's interesting. And we can always divert all the time in these talks. I mean, Mark, how many times we bounced around last week? Like 50, right? We're all over the place.
That's the way it's supposed to be, though.
Yeah, it's fun. We had
excluding the youngster that was born in 1983, and we have a tendency to wander when we talk anyway.
Well, you're spinning again. Maybe that's a good thing. You're still spinning. So
I'm hoping.
See, I may be young, but I probably got, I shouldn't say probably, I know I got more gray hair than Jay over there.
Oh, hey,
he probably dies.
I'm 51, I don't die.
Yeah, because it's cool. You got it all, it's all like, patterned out pretty good.
I'll take it down.
He's a silver fox if you've ever seen one. Look at that. Jeez. Look at that. Oh my gosh. Look at that hair.
You're going to be trying out for Will Scarlet pretty soon.
Yeah, that's lovely, man.
It kicked in when I was 16. I started getting the gray hairs.
Yeah, well, I know, but you got it. That's the thing, man. So.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, we got the hair still. Most
of donation length.
Yeah, you cut it. Don't you get a cut for donations? That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Good to hear that. By the way, let's reach out real quick. Everyone heard what happened in Jacksonville. It kind of sucks. These guys were playing Madden, and what I hear. One of my friends, his name's Rob Adams, on a Facebook friend. He lives in Jacksonville. He says a guy lost a Madden semifinal or something and came back and shot the place up and then killed himself. That's what he's saying happened. So, I mean, that's ridiculous. It should, where everyone's playing, it's happening at tournaments now, So let's hope that, let's hope it doesn't happen at a Gen Con or something like that down the road. I mean, you got to be, it's just the world we live in now. But, thinking about everyone, let's hope that we don't have that problem ever again. So, hey, native, I appreciate you watching. I sent you a quick whisper there, man. Hopefully you like what you see. I'm gonna talk some DMing here. Some real quick updates. I'll get this out of the way. Our sponsor, Miniature Building Authority, the Kickstarter got pushed back 2 weeks. His Kickstarter for Harbor Town is now September 20th, okay? He hasn't sent me a new ad for it yet, so I still have the old one. September 20th, Harbor Town Kickstarter. Man, you know I love these guys, and you're going to be seeing some new stuff that I just got, some really large castle walls and keep setups coming. Kirk at NBA is fantastic. Catch him at any kind of convention. He's out there. Go to his site. They're great people. We've been using them since 2002. Our first giveaway September 20th when the Kickstarter starts. We're going to be giving away a prize to followers and even a $25 gift certificate to NBA and $75 one to subscribers. So and that's a point system. So right now Jacob's so far ahead in points, but all he needs 1 point, right, to win on that drawing. So thanks a lot for Miniature Building Authority for what they've done for us. So topic number one has got to be problem players. So I know Mark and I have a story. I'm gonna let Mark tell.
Only one story.
Yeah, I don't see it just being one story. That
Not
with your repertoire, I'm sure.
Mark's going to tell the coup de grace stories. I'll tell a different one. Go ahead. Tell it in detail, man.
Okay, so there was a point in time where a few of us were renting a house together where we used to play, and there was one guy that I went to school with that took the game probably a little bit more serious than he should have, and it essentially came down to a point where his character ended up getting killed. Now, whether Jay did that on purpose or not, it was probably just more the luck of the dice than anything. But there was another player that was there that he did not really get along with, and essentially what ultimately became, for those of you who have watched this on Thursday nights, Jay's head with "wah" written across it. The basic gist of what happened was when the character died, the player was Ben.
Yeah,
Yeah.
But look, right above me, I still got that.
Well, that's the mystery DM. So
Yeah,
we'll let that spin. I don't care. It's a mystery DM. So glad to see you. You live in Colorado, correct?
You got it.
You're from Massachusetts, though, right?
Hell no.
No.
I'm from Cleveland.
Really?
That's why I live in Denver.
Mark's in Ohio. Mark lives in Akron now, so.
Yeah.
Oh, I used to live in Cuyahoga.
Yeah.
Cuyahoga Falls. Yeah.
Excellent. God, I'm sorry to interrupt.
No. So essentially, we're getting to the gist of the story, which was the player was really worried about his character losing a point of Constitution, and was just so bent about it, and was just making. I mean, you would have thought that he was going to hold his breath until he turned blue in the face.
Yep.
And the room was really, really quiet, and then all of a sudden you just heard really low. You heard "wah." I mean, just like that. And this player got up and just lost his mind and said, "That's it!" and ran across the other side of the room, grabbed this other player, and literally just started pounding on him.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Jay's reaction to this was literally, "I'm going to sit back and laugh my ass off."
Sorry.
I'm conducting all of this. Needless to say, apologies were said and so forth, but within about a year, that the player that was doing all the pounding was actually gone. So
yeah, and this has got to be like 89, 90, 91. We're talking
90, like 91.
Yeah, we're talking ancient history, but you work through a bunch of people. You get players coming in and out, and that's good. That's healthy. But sometimes you get players that just don't get it. It's either a power gaming issue or a stat issue, or just, he would actually write elixirs of life on his character sheet so that, like, when he died, because that'll bring you back, and so, you know what I mean? And then the funny thing was he was rewriting his con back up, so even if he died, his con would still lower, and he'd lose more constitution hit points. So it made no sense, and just we still bust his stones to this day. Like Will, as soon as I know you're close to affiliate. I know you're real close to it. You get these emoticons. You see the one that's on the right. Well, the bottom one, the no guy, that's another ex-player. He's picking his nose there, so I put, no on it. So I'm just saying, you get to do all this fun stuff shortly, So, but that's one story. But that player, and Brian knows him from World of Warcraft, was an instigator, troublemaker. He was a good friend of mine, but he just was nuts. He's just crazy. And the more he drank, the worse he got. And it's a shame because he was a good guy. He was well-meaning, but he just could not get along with other people. And and WoW, Brian will tell you, he in World of Warcraft, he couldn't get along. He couldn't get along with my other friend Bill, our crafter Bill Haley. He couldn't get along, and they were friends before I knew him. And he couldn't get along with in D&D. I mean, I almost had players quit over him. I almost had three of my 5 players quit because he was, he'd come and he'd get drunk, and it was a mess. So I mean, you got to know when to cut the ties, and he left on his own. I mean, and Brian knows the deal. I mean, he kind of left. We had him in Star Wars as well, Star Wars Online, the Old Republic, and he wasn't as instigative then, but he just stopped. It was his way or the highway. It was just a mess. So what about you, Brian or Will? You guys got any fun stories like that? I know Brian could tell all day long about the Bill stories. What do you think?
Well, no, go ahead, Brian.
So, we deal a lot with problem players, not so much anymore, but being in the shop, we start off as, what was it? Before Adventure League. What was the D&D before Adventure League? Not Expedition. Anyway, the expeditions were like the higher tier or something like that. Anyway, but we were, we start off as public play. So
do not disturb door.
We would always just have, random people come in. A lot of times people work out great. However, there are other dudes that they try to live out these rape fantasies and that kind of stuff. And this one guy, he had to do the quintessential, I get naked and pray to this God every morning. I felt
wow.
The guy himself, he's okay, but he's a creepy role player guy. And we had at one point, there was this college girl, probably 23 or so, came and wanted to play. Her brother played, and she wanted to spend some time with him, something like that. And the whole time, this creepy dude just started trying to get closer and closer, and I'll show you how to run your character sheet. Just get that quintessential creepy
that's all we need.
D&D guy. And so, between having to pull him aside, dude, you cannot do that.
Did you lose her? I'm assuming you lost her.
I think she played for the summer, and then when school started back up or something like that, I think they were done.
That's a shame.
Between that and having to tell grown adults, pull them aside and say, you have to shower.
Oh my gosh, man. We haven't really had that problem, but I can see.
But you guys can be selective. You're not playing in public.
Yeah.
See, that's the thing. Yeah. You're playing at a comic book store.
Right. Yeah. You normally I haven't had the shower discussions in a while, but normally it'd be give it 2 or 3 games, see if it was a one-time deal or something like that. But yeah.
I can honestly say that problem was very permanent at Gen Con.
Anytime you got the guys
rooms, and it was like a green haze that you would.
Yeah, and that's the thing that sucks about, because I used to have a coffee shop back in the 90s, and that's one of the things that we specialized in, Magic the Gathering, role playing, and computer games and stuff like that, and video games. And for when you're dealing with the public and you got people that you're bringing in and you have no idea who these people are, you're always going to have that. I've always been a lot more mercenary about it. It's basically you get 2 strikes, man. That's about it. And it's at the same time on the table. It's and that's the same thing even for my regular games, because my big thing is just know your players.
Yeah.
Which is hard to do. And it's your one guy was a friend, so that makes it kind of hard. You bring your friends and you start playing, so then it's now I got to be a jerk to my friend. I got to tell him hey, you're being an ass, so everybody wants you to go. But that's I don't want anybody ruining everybody else's enjoyment. So pretty much, people get one discussion, one talking to, and then after that, if things don't change, you'll be hey, no offense,
my daughter just fell. I'll be right back.
It's okay, bro.
Get a different group for you together, and you go play with them. Because I've even played with other players that are really great players, and we just don't mesh. It's not even really that anybody's doing anything wrong. It's just your style of play is not really how I like it. It's you're a little bit darker. I want to be a little bit lighter. Stuff like that. So
man. See, we've never gone out to the public, and this is going to sound stupid, But I was really just South Jersey. We've been playing together for so long, and I'm thinking to myself, do I need female players playing, which we rarely have had. I'm scared to go up to go on to Meetup or any of these other groups because I'm afraid of what we're going to bring in. I don't want to ruin what we have going on right now. You know what I mean? So I don't know if that's but maybe we have an off night or something like that. But there's only so many hours in the week. Us working, me working, Mark working, Brian working real jobs are like, oh my God, you know what I mean? I just I don't have enough time to do that, to worry about other to trying to find someone else. But that's
I'll tell you what I did, because like before I started running Return to the Bandit Kingdoms, I went on Roll20 and I held auditions.
Really?
Yes, you better believe it. I went and I advertised it as an audition for a stream. I want you to come in, know full well what we're doing, and you can even go on YouTube. The auditions are on YouTube even. I don't.
Oh, cool.
Put them as they don't have an actual episode number to it.
Okay.
Because we had like basically 5 episodes that were in the can before we actually started with episode 1.
Oh, nice.
So we three session zeros and then the 2 auditions. And out of the auditions, I got 2 players that actually wound up playing with the other players that I pulled in from other groups. And I'm going to do that again when I go to start the second stream. The other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go. So this is just give you some sort of an idea of how far out the second stream is. In February, when Genghis Khan is happening here in Denver, I'm going to try and get these guys to allow me to run there and run auditions at the con. A face-to-face sort of.
How many? I know. Is Adam your friend? And half the guys are real friends, and half of them auditions.
The two that were auditions that made it in were Phil and Jairus.
Cool.
And Jairus plays Raleigh, and Phil was playing Norjor, the Fearblood.
How many did you go through?
I went through. Well, it's just a weeding out process. I had 4, 5, 6, 7 or 8 altogether.
Wow.
And the second audition, we had 2 no-shows, and I think in the first audition we had 1 no-show. Which that's part of the weeding out process, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's like, okay, you can't show up. You know what I mean? Especially to the first step, first thing, the audition. Well, that says a lot. And that was one of the things, and that was one of the decisions that I made with going in. And when I looked at different people for streaming, is I just want good role players.
Oh,
I'm not going for any kind of demographics, diversity, and all this different stuff. I'd love to have anybody, just as long as you're a good role player. And there was, a couple of people I thought, and that's the other thing, like I say, about you have good role players, but maybe these role players are just not for your game. Because before I even had the audition, I told everybody, says, look, this is not going to say that you're a bad role player. It's just saying, I'm doing a stream. So I'm looking for certain types of people.
Right.
And there were some guys in the stream that I had. They were great. I would love to play with them, especially around the, when you're not on streaming, it's a completely different beast. You don't have to worry about time. You can just do all kinds of different stuff, you can have an hour and a half conversation about how you're going to attack the castle. That don't translate into a stream.
We've run across that issue too. We've run across that issue too in more ways than one, but we're working through it as we speak. Especially us with being tabletop players. With our tabletop style, we have that as a problem. The BSing. And I'm fine with it because I tell everyone it's a natural. We're just playing as friends for the most part. It's a natural thing, and there's gonna be a lot of gas being blown out by Walt and Haley and sometimes me and stuff. Hey, it's gonna happen, but this. The getting on the phones and transiency really doesn't translate well to streaming, So, no, I understand that absolutely. I just never thought. See, Brian, how many of your Star Wars guys are your friends? How many? You got a couple?
We are. So even though we start off as public play, we now have 3 full solidified tables. We have 7.
3?
3 full solidified tables of 7. there's on and off one at fourth. At my table, we have that work at the university with me in the same department. There's 4 people, and only one of them I brought. 2 of the other guys just kind of straggled in. So everybody at my table now, like I see outside of D&D, like every Wednesday we go right before the game. We go out to eat at we pick a random restaurant each week, and we go out and go eat.
Good.
So
yeah, but you kind of, and that's why Mark started the job at Smuckers, if I may say so, and got a bunch of Jacob and a bunch of other guys, right? And now you're friends with them, and all. It's a combination. So
I was going to say, out of people that started as my friend there, only one guy came as my friend, and it took me like 6 or 7 months to talk him into going.
But they develop into your friends.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And even like
and that's
we
the great
talked
thing.
a couple times about moving into private play out of the comic book shop, but we like the people at the other tables as well. And if we weren't in that public play area, here's some friends I would never have.
Plus, that's a huge. When you game in Ryan, maybe you back me up on this. When you game in a public area, there's a little bit different of an energy there too.
Right.
Because you got different people come. There's nothing better than somebody coming in and shopping in the store and stopping and just watch for a little bit.
Yep. Yeah, I have no people. It happens probably every week. Somebody will stand by over my shoulder for like 5 minutes and just say, "Hey, you mind if I watch?" No, go for it. Knock your socks off.
Right.
Especially you with the, I'm telling you, the Star Wars thing aspect has got to be very intriguing because a lot of people don't see it as an RPG, So
it's very cinematic.
Yeah.
So you really break things up into scenes.
Are you using Fantasy Grounds with it still?
No. When we did the online session the other day, I used Skype. I used Fantasy Grounds just to display some maps and that kind of stuff, but there's no rule set in Fantasy Grounds for Star Wars. Sadly.
So once a month, right?
Online?
Once a month online. 1 out of every 4, correct?
About once a month, we'll still do an online one. We have 2 guys that drive an hour to come.
I'm trying to convince Brian to do that once a month on our site.
The players
I'm
aren't
working on
interested. The players aren't interested in doing a stream.
Okay. I tried.
Yep.
But,
I'll talk. There's a couple other guys I'll talk to, see if they want to do like a once a month in-person one-shot deal or something like that.
Variety. Star Wars is cool, but you need the variety, and I think that's a great thing. And I know Mark's guys are working toward it shortly, every other Monday. Well, cool. I mean, anyone else have any other fun, bizarre stories on people? I mean, my God, I could talk all day, but
one question I'd like to ask the other 2 DMs is. And I'll preface it this way: is that it's very, very rare when an evil character actually becomes a party member. We almost have in my groups that I actually start is I don't actually permit them, just because it can cause so much infighting between the actual players and stuff. It's very rare in Jay's campaign. It's happened. I actually have one, but there's a special storyline that goes in behind it. So I'd like you guys to weigh in on it. How do you keep that balance if you do?
good question, Mark. Great question.
You want to go first, Will?
Sure. I'm probably in the minority in this because I encourage it. If you want to play evil, go right ahead. I could care less. I just preface everything. I always up front. It's like, okay, you want to do that? Not a problem. Well, these are the things that might happen, and these might be the consequences of that. You prepared for that? All right, cool. And then basically, I can always reference that conversation back later. The only time it really becomes an issue is like if you're going to run one of the campaigns. I have yet to do it, but I will do it. I want to run an all-paladin campaign. Okay, that would be an issue. You know what I'm saying?
Sure.
That would be an issue, having an evil guy come in there. But
Oh my God.
I've always played really fast and loose with alignments because basically I find that what ends up happening with alignments is, and I think this is basically what Wizards of the Coast has come to a conclusion on this too, is that there's most players, it's just them, you know, and that's just what they're going to bring out. They might throw a little fancy voice over the top of it, but it's still them. So I would say maybe a quarter of the role players, and that doesn't mean they're bad role players. It just means that they don't. That's just how they play, which is great. No problem with that. there's very few role players that can go, okay, I'm going to get into this guy's skin. And you know, they're doing it like an actor. You know, they go into this and they go, it's like, well, this is what my character would do. Because you hear that all the time when somebody wants to do something as an excuse. But as a reality, you know, there's very few that can do that. So I don't mind that. You know, bring them on. Just so long as everybody's in the understanding of it, and we just, you know, go from that. I mean, I'm running a campaign now called Return to the Bandit Kingdoms. Pretty much everybody in this campaign is kind of crooked and evil, you know, to an extent. That the one guy that was probably the if you want to give a term as good was Norjor, and unfortunately Phil's no longer in the game.
Oh, wow.
So,
Okay. Didn't know that. Sorry to hear that.
Yeah, this was two episodes ago. He had to step down. So, yeah. So, yeah, I think if you just do the preparation and you talk to the people ahead of time, you know, again, and it goes back to my old, you know, what I say all the time is know your players. If you know your players, like there may be some a player that would come to me and say, hey, I want to play this guy and blah blah blah. And I'm like, no way, not you. Now some other player might come to me would say, hey, I want to play the exact same guy, and go, not a problem. You know, it's just, you know, it's the way of it. So, and I would have to say this is, my players tend to know how I DM and how I run, so it's not a shock to the system, you know.
Right.
And I allow players to do an awful lot that most DMs wouldn't, and so it's not, they're not feeling like I'm, you know, being unfair to them or whatnot. It's just a matter of, hey, this is how I'm running the game. This is how I envision it. So I don't think it'll work. So let's go with something else. And they'll respect my sight on that, because, you know, I might allow them to do this other thing or what have you. So,
well, here's the irony to this whole question that Mark asked. He's probably got one of the only PCs in the campaign that's really evil that I allow in the group.
right?
Right? You got Alhana. And Alhana's as evil, and she's a devious, but it's like a self-serving type. It's not a, I'm going to screw over the party kind of evil, you know? And I'm assuming your Band of the Kingdoms, it's a survivalist more thing. I was watching, and you guys were talking about the Tritherian people and all. I found that it was very amusing last week. I was watching in on that, and like our Tritherian people are like our heroes and ours, you know what I mean? Yeah. So it's just your point of view on things, you know.
Well, and that's the thing. It's when a player brings in a character, it is also the responsibility of the player to know the party, and that's one thing else too. Yeah. Before we even get started, that's where Session 0 started. I mean, that was not at the beginning, you know, an original first, and I don't even know when they came about. I think the first time I heard Session 0s was like, I don't know, fourth edition when I wasn't playing. I mean, it's like
I don't do a campaign without a 0 session.
Oh yeah, I always do them now, because that's you get that in there, you iron it out. If everybody knows who else is at the table, that's why, like, when I do casting calls for people for doing streaming, that's why I have to have auditions, because I got to know what these people are about, so whether or not they can go into the mix properly. So, you know, if you know, like, for example, I run a campaign called Return to the Bandit Kingdoms currently. You should really get a good idea of what you should be able to play within those confines to make it work really well. You know what I mean? So
that's cool. What's your time frame? You were like 582, 3, 5?
Tell you the truth, I never get into the actual. I don't get that close into the details. It is after
the wars.
After the wars, after the peace treaty. And I think I gave it a rough timetable of it's within 10 years of that.
Okay.
Because I didn't want to make it too far out, because I've seen some timelines where they've got it where, I mean, it's like 50 years afterwards, you know, and everything's still the same.
Who's that?
Dude, things are starting to settle in, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
well, we're at 635, Will.
Well, there you go.
But we've been playing for 38 years, you know, so.
So.
It's okay. You back into things, you merge things in. And that was you know, and that's going to lead into the next couple topics I wanted to talk about. Was and Brian, I know, is going to go, well, this isn't true because your 5e was this adventure running between published and homebrew. You guys got a ratio you like to keep? Do you say homebrew only? You know, Brian, start off with this because you did the whole Tomb of Annihilation just recently. So
even though I run published adventures, I splash in. I'm much like Will, very impromptu, like improv. If somebody says I want to go off and do this, yeah, I know what's in the book. I read the book, and we do stuff in the book. However, like you look at the Storm King's Thunder campaign that we ran just before the Tomb of Annihilation, we did nothing in that book. We didn't talk to giants. We didn't see giants. We did nothing. We wound up going on to like the Shadowfell, multiple timelines, going all sorts of crazy stuff. It just got knuckin' futz. So I have no issue with. I don't have a ratio. It's just a matter of where are the players directing me. Like, it's not my story. It's our story. I don't try to do the railroading. One of the big things that really got me screwed up in the Giants campaign was people kept on trying to guess the situation.
right.
I had no idea what the hell's going on. So, like, them guessing the situation, I'm like, yeah, that's exactly what's happening. Yes, there is a multiple timeline here. So,
Yeah. See, that's the problem with all those published adventures too. You know. Now I know Mark's been running through some of the old classics because his group's brand new. You know, how many sessions you done, Mark? You done no more than 10, right?
No. I mean, we've been playing now for over a year.
Oh, has it? Okay, I did not know that. Okay.
It's actually over a year.
Quiet.
And that's the thing is that I tend to find lots of different groups that want to learn how to play. So I have friends in a lot of different things because I'm into a lot of different things. And the one thing I can kind of like tie everything together is that people have either heard of D&D or want to play D&D or both. And so I tend to have a lot of like startup groups more than anything else. And so it's really getting into setting the framework. And so I have like a first set of 3 adventures that I always love running. And most of them, actually two out of the 3 of them are, well, actually all 3 of them I think are Dragon Magazine articles. So the first one is actually an old Dungeons and Dragons, not advanced D&D.
Forest of Doom.
No.
No?
Sword of Justice. Dragon 92.
Which one?
Sword of Justice.
Sword of Justice. Okay.
Sword of Justice is the first one I start off with, and then from there I move to the Chapel of Silence.
Yep.
And then from there I move into
one of our all-time favorites.
Yeah, and I just lost my brain here.
Citadel by the Sea.
Which actually they still play at Gen Con every year.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Those first 3 really have a good understanding about how you can tell your players how to get them within their alignments, how to get them within understanding how the gameplay is. There's intrigue, there's problem solving, all those key things that you really want to teach about the game, and you can really root out in those first 3 adventures.
And the end of the third one, right? You can develop an antithesis.
Absolutely. And in fact, my group, unfortunately, my latest group, they actually failed. They were supposed to capture the spear from Citadel by the Sea, and unfortunately, it caused some stirring between the group members because one of them had an opportunity to stop the guy that was running away with it and backed off. And kind of led me into being able to do my own supplemental pieces to kind of tie everything together. So, the way mine goes is it's a typical storyline. It's not like you appear in different areas of the world. It's all in a congruency around the same area.
And I actually put that down in the next topic. But Will, what about you? Are you more completely homebrew, or do you run some other stuff?
I'm majority homebrew with picking out pieces from different places. Yeah, I will use like one shots and stuff like that for like maybe some filler.
Yeah,
but for the most part, the majority of it is always homebrewed. Even when I'm running an actual module, it's technically homebrewed because
Yeah.
it's like, it's like anybody. I mean, everybody does filler and different stuff to it, but it really depends. Like if I'm dealing with people who are new to the hobby, I really might not change much at all. If I'm dealing with vets, I'm going to change all kinds of stuff because I know what they're thinking. So.
I've had one of those guys that goes, "Oh, this is supposed to be here. Why is it not here?" Well, because it's
The 6 ounce Sahagwin Prince in the Final Enemy. Where is he? We had that happen. The guy who got into the fight, he's like, we finished U3, and he goes, well, we haven't gone and fought the 6 arms Sahagwin Prince yet. What? What are you talking about? So
That's right.
Yeah, that's it. You have that. You have that, man.
You know what's great? You should just go to go to a dollar store and go into the sticker aisle and just buy some like gold stars. So like, there you go.
That's it.
No, you see, because Jay actually he has a way of being able to kind of counteract that kind of stuff. And so, we started joking about it last week that any party we play needs a protection from boning spell. Because always at the very end of the adventure, when Jay does experience, somebody always gets boned. And it's usually me.
That's it. That's it. I know. Like I've had people miss experience by like five points going up. Sometimes. So, it can happen. You never know, man.
I always used to have this thing, and I haven't instituted it in a while because I really haven't had to because either I'm playing with new people who are new, or like I'm doing the streaming stuff now, and it's just not been necessary, or I haven't been running. I've just been playing. I always used to have the DM's challenge. It's like anybody can challenge me on anything. It's a straight up roll. And if you beat me, great. We're going to incorporate what you want. If I beat you, something really bad's going to happen.
Oh, my gosh.
And the first time that happened, everyone's like, great, yeah, well, we want to do that. Okay, cool. And then all it takes is one guy getting like, his character completely destroyed. Because I won't kill a character with that. What's the good in that? But if you're a duelist and you lose that arm, it's something like that. It's like, well, that's your character now. You got to keep playing that guy.
Wow.
Yep. So.
Yeah, we have incorporated in ours what we like to call DM's Crushing Fist.
Yes, the DM's Crushing Fist, which I haven't really had to bring out in a long time. But I mean, you always have crazy stuff happen, and you're not prepared for in an adventure setting. But for me, it's like since I started streaming, I did one when Mark was here for a weekend. I pulled one from Dyson's book, and I gave him credit for it on the stream. I said, "Look, we're going to run Dyson's. I've modified it," and that was the only published one I've used. And like I don't know how many we've done, 14 or 15, and it's just like I'm doing more and more homebrew now. It's really helped my writing actually, trying to think ahead. I got to do this, I got to do that, I got to fit in this time frame. But we got a couple.
And then your players do none of it, and your time is wasted.
Yeah,
which is why you should just improv.
Yeah, I know.
Well, that's what gets me is like if I write something and then they do something and then I counteract it, and in the moment it's like, oh, that was beautiful, I got it. And then afterwards I'm like, oh, that totally ruined this other stuff I had written before. Now how am I going to make that into that?
Yeah, I'm telling you, I just and no matter how one-nighters are the worst because. You set that up, and you're like, I'm going to have this done by 11:30 Eastern Time PM, and it never finishes that time, ever. Everyone's exhausted next day, right? Going out to your job and stuff the next day, and I'm up till like 1 o'clock in the morning or whatever, fixing and doing all this other stuff, and hauling all my equipment all the way up 3 flights of stairs up to here, from down the basement, and it's just, it's crazy, but, it's part of being the DM, it's kind of the charm of it. Just the one-nighters are like, I'd rather do multi-weekers just because then if you don't get as much done, you can shrink it down the next week a little bit. But it's just like, wow. Sometimes you just like, you can't be prepared for everything. So things just bottleneck up. But that was good. That was a cool topic, man. I just, it's balance. It's a balance. Just like anything else. You got to have a balance in life. You got to have a balance in your gameplay. And, I feel absolutely. It's the hardest job in the world is being a good DM. A couple of my wife probably wouldn't say that that's the hardest job in the world. She'd probably laugh, but that's okay.
Yeah. But that's why we're the rock stars and we get all the T-shirts.
Yeah.
Actually, I saw one at Gen Con that I really loved, and I couldn't find the vendor that had it. And all it said across it had a big D20 in the middle, and atop the cross it just said "World's Most Average DM."
Yeah. I got One of the people that watch the show and is fan of, and she's from my work, Verona, sent me this T-shirt and it says, "I'm the DM your mama warned you about."
That's a good one. Wow.
I thought that was great.
That definitely is an excellent one. Oh, man. Oh, look at that. Tim just popped on. So we're going to get to
Here we go.
I just saw him pop on Skype. So maybe we'll get him to actually call in. Now, Tim is like he plays a lot less now, but he's the old school DM. And he DM'd Aftermath. He DM'd Gamma World. He DM'd Boot Hill. He DM'd Old First Edition. So we'll see if I can get him. He's popping on. There he is. Can I call on chat? Hey, Tim, how you doing, man? So,
Well, that's good because I got to head out. I have my Sunday night game.
Yeah, I know you have a Sunday night game, Brian. Sorry we didn't get as far as we with the discussion, but good. Have fun with it. I'll see you if you can pop on Wednesday and Thursday. I'll see you then, man. So
It's just like D&D. We never get as far as we ever want.
well, we started a little late too. So
All right.
hey, Tim, if you want
All
to
right.
come on Skype, man,
Good luck,
and
Brian.
take
Nice
Brian's
meeting you, Will.
place.
Nice meeting you.
Yeah, his game starts at 8:00. So I'm just seeing. I thought I saw him pop on Skype. My contact. I lost my contact list. So let me see if I can hop in one here. See if he wants to come onto the call and take his place there. Let's see. Whoops. You there, Tim? Yeah. All right.
Oh.
There you go. So one in, one out. All right.
I'm working on
Hey, how you doing, Tim?
trying to get my headset fixed.
Cool. Yeah, slide over a little bit, man. You're cut off the screen. I had some Skype issues. So I got Will on from Wicked Studios and Return to Bandit Kingdom Stream. I got Mark on, and Brian just had to go. So good seeing you, man. How you doing?
Yep.
Seeing you.
So tell everyone who's on about your just real quick, old school DMing, what you did D&D, Aftermath, Gamma World when we were younger. Go for it.
There we go. How's that?
Good.
Perfect.
Sound perfect.
Talk about your old school.
Technically.
Talk about your old school DMing, man. Gamma World, all the stuff you used to do. Aftermath.
Yeah. So D&D is the primary one, but I remember Aftermath running the Into the Ruins. I remember Into the Ruins. Then I guess the most recent venturing into Aftermath was our one-off experiment with not playing the Aftermath, but playing the actual Downfall.
Oh, that's interesting.
Right.
And we made characters that were heroically based off of ourselves. So we used the timeline, like 15 years in the future, so we could have some high tech things, and then also and highly embellished characters based on ourselves.
I ran around with 2 Bobby Flay steak knives, and that was it.
Except for Jay, he couldn't wrap his head around it. He realized he would be
Useless. Completely. Yeah.
So he made a totally fictitious, crazy, feral sort of fella.
Yeah.
And I think that's pretty accurate, right?
W.P.
Feral.
Sose was his
probably
name.
pretty
Yeah.
close.
Yeah. Weirdly based
And,
on Kaiser Sose. So that was a fun one. Absolutely.
Yeah, and that was
Right.
So we're I don't know if you caught the beginning. You probably just hopped on. We're going over some DM things. Doing a roundtable discussion on this. So campaign settings, linking in adventures. Tell us about your City State of the Invincible Overlord campaign that I ran in, and we'll start with you.
We all
Tim,
did.
go ahead. Start with that.
wow.
Yes, and what you did. No, what you expanded on. Like you really, talk about that. The outlying lands. What you did.
We I didn't use the I guess I used the immediate map of the city state as it came in the module, and I didn't have it in the Judges Guild world.
Right.
So I kind of had it in my own fictitious world, and I made the outlying areas and the estates and things like that. And so I ran an adventure, like a first level one-off years before, where we all made evil characters,
So-
right? And then I just kind of collected them up. We never really played them again. But then I aged them 200 years and made them the super villains.
Yeah, I had Lord Gru and Atari, all of them. Yeah, it was. But there was what I loved about it, Mark and Will. What I loved about his game, it was all politics. You would go to like these political events. And like my character, who's like who's a fire clerk mage, Kixano, he's all goody goodies talking and stuff. Oh, hey, how you doing? And someone comes to him, he's a high level anti paladin. You know. What I'm saying?
Well, I was going to touch on that very. I remember the first moment where he's invited to this party. He's here at the party. There's the secret back room. People are doing stuff in. He's talking, and then suddenly it clicked. The revelation of all these people who are being polite to me are actually really evil.
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that for the night. It's like we can all put differences aside for a drink or two.
Right, I mean, just because they're lawful evil doesn't mean they're going to be butchering you all the time. They may just want to ruin your entire life. They don't necessarily want to kill you.
Yeah.
They may flay you once in a while, but that's about it.
I pay homage to Tim in multiple groups, like our Mongrels of the Putrid Tongue. Nemesis with Tim I've elaborated on, but Tim really started that. That was a Tim initial thing. The Wizard, his Adventure Wizard of Id, I did the Wizard Stidge years ago, and that was another homage to him. I mean, so Tim was my first like watching a DM play and stuff. And I'll go through this one quick story. We came in a room once, and there's this guy lie out on a stone slab, and there are these two zombies behind on either side of them. Yeah, see? And all they're doing is standing there, and they whip the guy's feet, and they whip the guy's feet off. And I just walked in, and who knows how long he'd been being whipped for. I'm thinking, you got to be sick to think of that. Right? So that's when I realized that there was something off about Tim and why he was perfect for the military. I'm retired in the military as a lieutenant colonel.
Zombies don't get tired, Jay.
I'm like, that is such a disturbing thought that you came up with that on your own. And it was scary. I mean, I just thought it was just a good sidebar.
That guy might have had it coming.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So, Will, how'd you come up with your Return of the Bandit Kingdoms idea, and how are you linking in the adventures into one big campaign?
Well, I was looking at, because when I was looking to start streaming, that was actually the first thing that came up. I was like, hey, I want to start doing this. I'd been playing online again for years after I'd gotten back into role playing, and so the first thing I thought of was, well, I'm gonna do Greyhawk, because that's the first world. That's what I know. That's I've always I'm just a Greyhawk guy. So I take a look at Greyhawk, and it's like, okay, I really like the war. I like the different stuff that they did here. And it's like, okay, well, what would be interesting with this? And it's like, oh, well, here's, let's do something with the Bandit Kingdoms. And it's just sitting around, it's like, oh, that's a great idea. Well, let's do this. And then let's do that. And it's like, okay, so I'll get a bunch of bad guys and I'll force them to do stuff by taking their souls away from them and then just throwing them back in there and say, hey, to get your soul back, you got to do this and this and this for me. And of course, the good guys are the guys forcing them to do it. So technically they're the bad guys, blah, blah, blah. As far as I had, when I first came up with the idea, I then took some of my old favorite Greyhawk stuff, and I can't really say anything about it, but basically it's old, real established Greyhawk lore. And I'm like, I'm tying this into it. And so it's like, I already know where it's going to end. So it's just a matter of, okay, how are you morons going to get from point A to point B to the end?
So they're going to find the machine of Lum the Mad or something like that?
Yeah, sure.
Hey, that's cool.
So it's basically like you're watching the movie The Titanic and knowing full well that the ship is going to sink.
Oh, yeah. And there's a couple of things. It's like I've already started throwing clues. And
right.
It's like there's different clues in there, and I was really worried if they'd be picked up on right away. And the beauty of it is that all the guys that are playing, they're not Greyhawk aficionados. They're not Greyhawk guys.
That's excellent.
So they don't know anything. So it's like if I was playing with some like old school guys that knew it, they would have probably guessed it by now. And I haven't had anybody like get in the chat or say anything about it as of yet.
Right.
But we'll see. So yeah, and as far as really the thing that I did is I did this is because with it's sort of sandboxy. So I took each character's from a particular area. Fortunately, a lot of them overlapped. And so basically what I did is I just created an incident in each of those areas connected to the characters, and then the characters are thrown into the world, and it's really up to them what they have to do. Because the only direction they were given is you've got 13 months. Go give Ius or Eus or however you want to pronounce it. I always say Ius. Go give them hell.
Huh.
The better you do, the more likely you are to get your soul back.
Wow.
Now,
Soul Husk.
okay, if you're, I'll say this much. My players probably won't see this anyway. But when it comes down to it, is that's not the real end goal.
Right. It's a
It's
red herring.
It's a huge red herring. So it's something that'll be found out later as they go on.
That's awesome.
Why they're actually doing this, and then, but that's ways down the road yet. So
Or at least now they think it's a red herring.
Yeah, exactly. You know what? You want to hear the red herring I do? I put behind my screen figures I'm not going to use that night down.
Oh, yeah.
Especially like dragons and big giants and stuff. And Haley walks by, looks at it as he goes by around the corner, and I'm like, oh.
I would do the same thing with books.
Yeah,
It's just like have like a monster manual open to the Tarrasque. You just want to put it over to the side.
That's a good one. Yeah, that's a good idea too. You always got to throw the red herrings out there. Now, Mark's campaign's gonna semi-tie into mine a little bit. We're gonna do some crossover events because we're gonna be doing on the same channel and all. And I know Jeff Jacobs looking real forward to it. What about you, Mark? Where's your direction going? Right now, it's just a feel out small scale, right? And then you're gonna see where it leads.
It's just more smaller scale. Like I said, because I've been introducing them to, and what is really our next topic. It's really about rules, and it's got the framework of stuff. And I learned early on that it's without a lot of that framework, as we lived through the Monty Hall era of stuff. And Tim introduced us to Mordenkainen's Disjunction on a couple of occasions. So
only once.
Yeah.
But if you don't have, and I don't mean it to sound so anal retentive, but if you don't have control is really going on, then it becomes complete chaos. And so essentially, I'm just building the framework for them to know where they can actually play in and get the idea. And most of it is really about the storyline and giving them the opportunity, just like you do as a parent to a degree, is that you give them the opportunity to screw up, and so that they don't do that same thing again. Yeah. Except for maybe Jacob the monk, but those things happen.
You're gonna bust it. You're gonna bust our top contributing viewer online's balls enough so that he's gonna be like. Considering the fact that he said right online in the chat that his DM needs a shower, that's I reserve the right. That's so funny.
That.
So,
but a lot of that is really just building that, and then we'll just kind of see where things go. So I want to be able to introduce a few things in regards to what you set up, Jay. Give them introductions to different types of playing styles and so forth, and then hopefully do a pretty nice crossover. We'll just have to figure out who's running what at that point.
Yeah, absolutely. And Mark's group's going to be tabletop as well, but he's got Jake has a big video screen in the middle of his table. Where I have an 8-foot by 8-foot, they're going to have roughly that, but they're going to have a big TV monitor. They do a bunch of stuff on it right in the middle with mapping and stuff, so it's going to be pretty cool. I'm looking really forward to watching it. So, and then we'll do some crossover stuff in Greyhawk, of course, absolutely. We have 18 different adventuring groups because we've been playing for 38 years, and it's kind of like there's a direction there, but it's just so massive. On like what does Bill have? 60 different player characters at this point. It's crazy, man. But we bounce around a lot between groups. So, but then we do once or twice a year we do a major event campaign. We just did one with Mark. I got another one coming up shortly, where the arc of the high end stuff goes. So it's pretty neat.
And a lot of those characters would not make good neighbors to each other. They wouldn't.
Yeah, that's true.
Which is what makes it kind of cool. like
it
different.
sounds like a George R.R. Martin novel. You know, it's like on speed or something. You know, because there's a lot more people involved than your
Well,
guys'
it's
stuff.
amazing. We got characters, kids adventuring now, and that's how long we've been playing. So a lot of them, not just like
I
two or
love
three.
that. You know what? I have
Yeah.
to interject on that. Pendragon. I loved Pendragon's the linear
Right.
way Pendragon was run. I absolutely love that, and I've never really been able to have anything go on long enough afterwards where I can really incorporate that in. It's so that was, I mean, with Pendragon, it kind of forces you to do it. It's like bam, 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 you know. It's like, oh, you're winter phasing. He's older now. He's winter phasing. He's older now. So it's like, and I just love that, and the fact that you guys could have that, you know, because you have such a long time period over with to do it. That's awesome.
It's crazy. It's crazy how long it's been and just where we've gone. But it's been a blast. So, and I got people going in and out. You know, Tim's been all over the world. You know, hopping in and out. You know, every couple of years because he had the Leaning Tower of Pisa in his backyard one time when he was.
Yeah.
Was that NATO?
I was in the army.
Yeah.
I was stationed in Italy.
Then was it Barcelona or Madrid? I mean, you Korea, Hawaii, you know. Yeah, it's been a long
Italy.
time. So, but you know, and we all still talk and still stay together, which makes it really makes it great. But Tim's the perfect one to feed into this next one, rules mongering.
I just
That look on his
many
face.
people that have blamed me.
We have had some issues with that in the past, but you know,
Sometimes
what do you do when you get
creativity is not always appreciated. Go ahead.
I remember like 6 years ago, Fred the Farty, your gnome, jumping off of a ramp, spinning multiple times while he was throwing darts. Do you remember that one? Yeah, and I was like, I don't think that's going to work, but, you know, I'm just, there's a lot of, what do you do? Here's the question, as a DM, what do you do when you come across a situation where there's not a rule for it, or there's a rule, but you're really at an impasse?
I think that you have to balance. I guess it depends on the flavor of the campaign. I will generally be player friendly because I like to see them as the heroes, you know, that are like doing good.
Okay.
But sometimes when people want to do something that is just deliberately almost impossible, you got to let them do it and just say, all right, if you rolled natural 20 twice, it works.
Yeah.
You know, or you do something like, you know, hey, you never know, maybe it might work. Go ahead, try it. But otherwise, they suffer the consequences, I guess, is the...
Okay. What about in a situation like, has anyone come across this where the rule says one thing and you're like, okay, but you still got someone that says, well, that's not what the rule actually says. And we have this all the time in figures and tabletop with radiuses of spells. And my rule is this. This is where the biggest argument comes. Melee combat. Melee combat's not static, even though the tabletop figures are. So if you're in melee combat with another character and two characters in melee combat with one, then they all can be hit by an area effect spell because it's movement, it's static. And I always get this argument, well, the figure's not in the area effect of the range in inches. Right? I get that one all the time, and I always fight about it, right? So what do you do? Anyone?
I have a DM screen. I win.
Okay.
It's. I believe that there should always be the chance with a radius effect that you actually catch the people in combat, because it's like calling in artillery. You know, after the artillery gets in pretty close to you, you call it danger close because it's danger close, and so there's always that chance that you hit yourself or hit your friendlies if you're going to be blowing, you know, radius effects up in the middle of a. It's like, all right, I know those guys are real close. I'm going to lob a grenade in there, and I think it'll be okay. You know what I mean? That's
right.
In reality, it sounds absolutely crazy.
Crazy, yes.
So it's just something that you can the artificiality of a ruler and paper and
Mark, you
board,
got something you're going to say. Say it, man.
Yeah. So all I was going to add to it was that honestly, I think that's where because we've been also online gamers for a while. So like years ago, I'll date myself a little bit. Online gaming. So when Neverwinter Nights came about,
Yeah.
started playing those things, it was really, at that point in time, was really the first good understanding that you had about being able to cast area of effect spells that could affect other people.
Yeah,
that were
it's true.
in your party. And I think
true.
that a lot of that really put things in perspective, at least for me. I can't say the same for others that I was playing with. You know, and I remember, and still to this day, even play some of the old Gold Box games in a DOS box window. And you know, you can do. I mean, the math in those days was simple, so you could figure out where you could throw stuff without affecting people. And that's kind of what we encounter on Thursdays. And yeah, it is a constant argument. And you know, I guess in many times get to be arbitrator because Jay considers me probably the most balanced. I hope.
Oh yeah,
not the most balanced person, but the most balanced when it comes to the rules and what the rules really were intended to be.
And I count Walt that too, because you know Walt's mentally. Hopefully he's not on right now. He's all over.
Yeah, I hope he doesn't go back and watch
this.
Walt doesn't have an agenda. Walt's not, so he's like, okay, yeah. So, but that tends to be. I was just curious as to what you would do, because we had that Circle of Doom spell that Panjazek, one of the Lesser Boneheart cast. Yep. And there were two characters in the area effect by the range, and then it was one of yours, Mark, that wasn't, but he was fighting the same character. I'm like, they all get hit. And that argument went on for like 5 minutes. I was just, and we, like I said, we've been playing together this long, we still come up with arguments.
Well, the one way to do it is to add the randomization factor, saying, hey, you're in combat with them, there's a 25% chance it includes you too. And then that way, they may not argue so much.
So here, Nazrat just brought up a point. Will, can you explain this to me? 5e prone rules I've wanted to tweak for a long time. Is there something there's something up about those?
Which rules?
He says 5e prone rules I've wanted to tweak for a long time.
Well, the thing about 5e that you have to understand, and to tell you the truth, the reason I have to say 5th edition is my favorite edition.
Okay.
And the only one I haven't played is 4th.
No, it's terrible.
That's what I've heard. I can't say 100% because I never did it. I read some of it and didn't like what I read. But the major component to 5th edition that makes it different from any of the others is the advantage-disadvantage rule. That essentially what it does is it's a real simple way to, and this goes right into basically what we're talking about here with rules mongering, okay? Because it's like, okay, in this it says this, and this it says that, and it's like, okay, well, you get disadvantage.
Right.
So it's not a matter of, well, you can't do that. It's like, all right, well, roll 2 and you're going to take the worse, or roll 2 and you're going to take the better. So it builds in an advantage or disadvantage depending on how you're wanting to do it. If you're going to start to do something that's crazy, you're going to get disadvantage on that. Okay. And while it doesn't keep people from doing it, and technically, if you think about it, disadvantage really is not still that great of a deterrent. You got 1 in 20 chance on both. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, so it's not. It's But
it's 1 in 400 in some instances. Oh my gosh! Yeah, I mean seriously, yeah.
So basically, I think what he's talking about with the prone is essentially like, okay, so if somebody is prone and they are on the ground, and if they're close to them, you get advantage of it. But if that person is prone and they're at a distance and the ranged person's trying to hit them, then they're at disadvantage. But the ranged person trying to hit a prone person at their feet is at a disadvantage.
Oh my gosh.
Because they're supposed to be at disadvantage for somebody that's within melee range of them is what the accounting is of it. Okay, so basically all that is that's just their ruling of it. Okay, so here's the thing. Whoever the fellow is that was talking about it, we want to tweak it. Because for me personally, if somebody's let's put it this way, somebody's got the drop on somebody with a missile weapon, and a ranged weapon or something like that, I'm not going to give you disadvantage on that, depending on the situation. Now, if the dude's got a spear like right in your face, and he like runs up to you, and it's like all kind of like happening at the same time, well, that's different. But if he's like, you tripped and fell, and he's like, there's.
He just clarified. You said standing up is an issue too in combat.
Yeah, standing up is a matter of you burn half your movement.
Okay. All right, so it's almost
basically-
it's movement points in BattleTech too. Yeah, we consider it a full in first, second edition. We do it's a full action, but you can do defensive stuff as you're getting up. If you win a knit, you can get up and still parry. So you can get up and cast a cure light on yourself. Or you get up and take a potion while you're getting up. If you win it, that's what we do. So okay, all right,
and that's actually kind of the same way it is in fifth, because you have your action is separate from your movement.
okay.
So your movement is, say, most characters have 30 feet. You can break that up however you want within your turn. I move 10 feet. I take my turn, or I take my action. I move 10 more feet. I do a bonus action, move my last 10 feet. You can do that.
Okay.
So you don't have to go, okay, I move my full, then I do what I'm supposed to do, sort of thing. But that all comes down to tweaking.
Yeah.
You know? So, and that's the thing, like when we were talking about as far as rule mongering, one of the things that I do the most, and as far as when it comes down with rules, you'll probably see me do this if you watch a stream. I'll ask the characters. I'll ask the guy involved. I'll say, well, what do you think? And he's like, that's not going to be like normal. So how should I, I handicap you at this? And generally those guys are going to they'll take it into consideration for the theme of the story and what we're doing. Now granted, certain people it's not going to work. You can't do that with, especially like when we were talking earlier with Brian about, you're out and you're in the public and you're gaming with people you've never gamed with before. It's like, all right, cool, I'm going to do this. And the guys are, just a jerk, it's like, well, then you're going to have to change what you're doing. Then you'll have to get a little bit more staunch on them. But I think when you ask them, it's like, okay, well, how should you get handicapped by that? Because they don't want to seem like I don't think it should be handicapped at all. Sometimes they might even be a little bit more strict about it than you were going to be.
And there's I don't know if in 5e you find this, but there's the tedious rules. Now, the biggest tedious rule in first edition's weapon speed factor, right, Tim?
Oh yeah, the thing we never pay attention to.
Yes.
That's good because they don't do that in fifth.
Yeah, it's gone. I mean that is that's something I completely ignore.
The speed factor shouldn't matter in a system where we all roll 1 6-sided die. I mean, if you're going to base it off their dexterity and everyone has their own initiatives, then it makes sense. If you're going to make it that cumbersome, hey, throw the speed factor because that affects everything. But if you're rolling 6-sided die, it doesn't matter.
See, and if you're using Fantasy Grounds or D20, I guess it calculates that for you, so it's good. But if you're doing that manually, you have to keep track of that. I'd go insane keeping track of who's got initiative.
Yeah, you could do that math easy.
I know. I got photograph memory. It's one more thing I got to worry about, man. One more thing I got to worry about. So we've eliminated some tedious rules. Also, weapon versus armor class is another thing, which I never got. Longsword gets -1 to hit against chainmail, but +1 to hit against plate mail. I was like, what? Yeah. So we got rid of that too. So I don't know if 5e has some of those rules that you consider tedious. No.
Yeah.
Okay.
5e is basically a stripped down streamline, because basically what it is 5e saw what was coming before. Well, not before it happened, but there was a change in how things were going in the role playing industry, and it was becoming more and more story based and optional.
Right.
So that's the way, and they thought that's what they were doing was fourth, because we're going to emulate video games, and basically they took it and they changed it so much that it's like old school guys were like, I don't know this game. This is stupid. So what they did in 5th edition, in my opinion, is we're going to keep the core basic to what we had, and then let's strip it down and make it simpler, and that's where that whole advantage disadvantage thing came in.
Okay.
Which it makes it real quick, rapid fire. It's like, okay, we're going to do this. Yeah, and I love it because it's like just a little thing. It's like, okay, so you're running past that table and you want to pick that thing up, but you're running for your life, and it's a real small thing. You got to get that one coin off of there. All right, roll. You're going to have a disadvantage to try and do it.
And you can do that quickly, boom, so you don't have to do any calculations.
Like that.
That's pretty cool.
So it's not like okay, so this is your difficulty factor, and then you have all these different levels of it, which I always thought was still manageable, but it makes it even more simpler than that. Now, you can add all that you want or detract from it.
Fluff.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I was going to give a real life example to this, and it was something that I learned kind of early on in my real career. And that is that if you allow your policies, if you really want to be the type of manager where you allow the policies to manage your people or you manage your people. The policies are there to be the framework, but it's really up to you when you're managing people. Other than, and I know that contradicts probably what happens in the military, Tim.
No.
But it's really
all
not
politics.
supposed to be a hard and fast black and white rule. It's fair doesn't necessarily mean equal.
Well, that's the thing I've always had about with rule mongering, and anybody that that sits down at my table and we're going to start to get into, you're going to get into a big breakdown about the rules. I'm like, look, we're here to play a game and have a good time and tell a story. So if you got a problem with that rule, what's your problem with that rule? This is my contention with the rule. What's the happy medium? Let's figure it out. Let's get this done. Let's keep rolling.
Right.
Because everything is just, Gygax and those guys used to say it. It's like all this is just, it's a framework for you to tell your story.
Absolutely.
And then that's it. And it's like, I think it was Tim Kask was saying, it's like the dirtiest secret is when everybody figures out that they don't need the rules to play the game.
Well, that's why I brought these books
what I
up. Yeah, that's why I put these books up. Like, if you wanted to start as a DM, right, in the first, second edition, all right, so I got the Dungeon Master's Guide and Player's Handbook on Arcana, right? Then I got this. Wait a minute, I'm going to start layering them out. You got Monster Manual, you got the Fiend Folio, and you got the, right, okay, wait a minute. And then, this is not the 144-page version, guys. It's only 128. That one's under lock and key. There you go. So there you go. This is first edition books that you really needed a DM with, and but your player characters really didn't need that much. But fifth edition's kind of streamlined that down too, where you don't need this much as far as reference guides, right? They've kind of gone that direction as well, which kind of helped the DMs out there. A lot more people seem to have access to the game,
One of the, I gotta tip my hat. Usually we're always talking about the things when they mess them up.
Yeah.
And it's very rarely do we go, hey, I think Wizards of the Coast got it. And I still hate calling them that. It's TSR as far as I'm concerned, even though it's not.
I know.
So, right?
Don't do that at a convention.
Right? So Wizards of the Coast opened up and their DMs Guild online, and everything that they're doing online is probably the smartest thing they could have ever done. They opened it up to everybody. It's like,
That's
hey,
good.
you want to contribute to this? Go ahead, get online.
Yeah, for
Publish the
stuff,
content and throw it up there. Now, granted, it's got to stay there because it's.
Yeah.
But it's like we won't do anything with it. And with the play testing or their ideas of things, they go straight to the public. Now, granted, they're not going to use it all, but they're giving it to the guys. It's like, here, go ahead, make it up. Like you can go on to D&D Beyond and the DMs Guild, make something for free, throw it up there, and there it is. You want to make
not Greyhawk stuff.
Yeah, not on DMs Guild, but you can go and do it. You could go do it on Drive-Thru RPG, which is essentially the same
absolutely, and it's a good place for one-nighters. I pull stuff off there all the time. There's company Expeditious Retreat Press. I pulled off a couple other Advanced Adventures. There's a couple other good it's called Osric, Old School Roll, whatever.
Yep.
Those adventures. So definitely, absolutely.
I'll tell you what, though, that whole not Greyhawk yet. That's going to change real quick.
I hope so.
It's already, they've already shown it because it's they brought out Eberron. Was it Planescape is right around the corner, and they're starting to bring in the Magic worlds.
Yeah.
Which I think it's smart for them as a business, but their format is that they're letting the people produce the stuff for them.
Yeah. Well,
it makes more sense to go, okay, here you go.
We'll see how much time they dedicate to that Magic world. That's what I'm worried about. But that's their bread and butter too, So.
Well, yeah, when you've got, I don't know how many more. I mean, granted, now there's a ton more D&D players than there used to be. But there's millions and millions more Magic players than there are
That's
D&D
true.
players.
And how many stream sites are there with Greyhawk? 3, and we're 2 of them.
Yeah,
Yep.
there you go.
So, although I'll say low 505, and this was cool. We got rated first time ever. I've gotten our site got that was cool, and he brought his channel over, rated us. Like, I love Greyhawk. I play a little bit. He dabbles a little bit. So there are other guys out there that are into Greyhawk. Hopefully it'll expand. That can only help with the Greyhawk. With the deal on that. But so that leads into the next thing, and that's communities. And I know Tim's kind of been out of it a little bit, but Tim, did you play? The military have a gaming group? Did you guys play at all when you?
There's always the there's always the little small pockets of nerds that'll be gaming nerds that'll be doing some stuff like that.
Is everyone okay if we go a little late, past 8:30? You guys all good?
I'm good.
Okay. All right.
I know that one of my current buddies, he's a commander in the Navy, and he said that even on the ships, they got some guys that play D&D on the on the ships and stuff. I never had a chance really so much to be involved in those groups. I just played with. I found fellow gamers, and we would just get together and game. So,
Okay.
although in the military, most of it was Warhammer I was doing.
Yeah, I know you played Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay a little bit.
Yeah,
there.
that was primary.
Yeah, but it's okay. You were still playing. That's all that matters. So.
Yeah.
First edition?
First, yeah, and then I did some second also.
Okay, that's good. I don't like the later editions. That's all I was saying.
Yeah.
Oh,
You had the original
nothing
old
passed.
books. I remember that. And we did one or two adventures, and I remember like I could cast a light spell, and that was it. I was like, oh. The spells casting was really, really
all those
rare.
creature ones for Jay, he's always kind of ineffective,
It's always that way.
Warhammer is just, no matter how high powered you are, it just makes it a little bit more realistic as far as substance goes. You know what I mean? It's like you can't just go and kill people in the town. There's going to be constables. There's going to be a ton of stuff after you. You're going to get hung. Oh, I saw him talking to the cat. He's a witch. I mean, there's all sorts of problems if you if you start being too crazy. So you're like, oh yeah, all I could do is light. But if somebody sees you do it, then it's like they're freaked out. So
The Nazareth asks, has Tim heard of Tucker's Kobolds? I have no idea what that is. So it must. It sounds like something he would have pioneered. I don't know what that means. Is that an English thing? I know Then's from UK, so. Man,
if I remember correctly, Tucker's Kobolds is essentially I don't know if it's an adventure or if it's just basically a way of dealing with players, or it is an actual adventure that it's been termed off of. This is something I do all the time. You're big, you're badass, and you're an adventurer, and you can kick everybody's ass. All right, here's 50 kobolds.
Okay.
Bam! And then these guys are going, it's like, I can take you down with numbers no matter how big you are. That sort of thing. And if I'm not mistaken, I'm sure who's ever on there will correct me if I'm wrong, that it was Tucker's Kobold was either an adventure or somebody wrote an article is essentially stating something along those lines.
Yeah, where they basically use traps and organization to pick at and annihilate, and then hey, fire superiority. If you are crawling in a 3-foot little tunnel and they have murder holes above you, they can dump whatever they want and shoot whatever they want and stab you with spears. And what are you going to do when you're laying down prone? Ooh, that sounds horrible.
Yeah. The ultimate is that adventure Dragon's Mountain that they did. I think that was the second edition. And that's what the big thing of that is you got this big mountain, dragon on it, all these.
The red box. Yeah, the red box set.
Yeah, it's all
my
these different
God.
kobold clans that have all these different special things that they do.
Yeah.
It's like, I loved that. I was like, yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Well, Tim hates nilbogs, which are goblins that you have to heal to do damage to.
I've
Tim
used
hates
them,
those
though.
things.
I've used them.
Yes.
Yep.
Yes. So there's all sorts. Yeah, absolutely. And Kobold Commandos are one of his favorites. So dropping from the sky, flying on dash, dropping all the stuff. Yeah. Yeah. Tim loved that
That was
too.
from a Dragon magazine.
Absolutely, along with Mork the Orc and
Airborne.
You've been had 20th level thief, which we've used in our adventures as well. Mark's used them too. So hey, getting one thing I like that's going on is that in the community thing, we're all on Facebook and we're all on Canon Fire Sages of Earth. We're all over the place, so we're linking up with a lot of people, and it's really helped out. And I guess this is really another community link up. I know we were talking about the Adventurers Guild, and we had, we did a little post discussion on that, and you said it's a good way to get in communities, but you didn't like all the rules that they were throwing out there. And the thing is, like PAX Unplugged, I'm trying to get a table there, and I got to go through the Adventurers Guild to even get anything approved officially. And I'm like, oh my god! And then that's not
Really?
happening. Yes,
Oh, that's
yes,
a
at PAX
crock.
Unplugged.
Okay.
So I mean, it has its good thing. It has its good and bad things, you know. So
Well, I think what happens is they start to lose track of what the hell it's there for. It's to
Absolutely.
bring people together to play your game, and then you strengthen your community, and then technically you hope they buy some of your stuff. I mean, that's really what it's all about. So make it easier for everybody to do it, and then just do it that way.
yeah,
You know,
I'm not. I've always was a TSR fan over a Wizards fan, even though I played a lot of Magic, and I got a lot of old cards I'm sitting on. So I'm just gonna let him. That's my son's retirement fund. Are those cards? I mean, college fund. Are those cards? So
Right.
we'll see down the road on that. But so Mark, what do you think? Like a community crossover between our groups is going to be great.
Yeah, I think it's going to work out really, really well because when you go in with characters or players who have been around as long as we have together, I mean, it kind of helps. It's not like a community where we don't know each other. It's
right.
It's like going to a party where you happen to know somebody that's there versus absolutely nobody that's there.
right?
And the type of interaction that you can actually have. So, being a player both in Jay's campaign and then running my own and kind of have some spin-off types of things with it, I think it'll work out itself really, really well. I know my players are really looking forward to it. A lot of them watch on our Thursday nights to kind of get them into scope about a lot of the things that we do. And I end up getting questions about it too, about, hey, I saw such and such on Thursday.
Yeah.
Why did this situation happen? Those types of things. So.
Well, that's good. At least they're not like that. DM sucks. You know?
I've
So-
had that. Also, go with the territory. You're bound to get that.
No, well, so just when the first night we started streaming, I gotta tell this one real quick. First night we started streaming, some guy came on, and it's right in the middle of the final combat, and he types into the chat, "Is there a story or something going on here?" And I'm like, "Oh."
Right.
I said, "Yeah, that was I felt so like, what am I doing wrong here?" But then that was it's all been positive. I'm assuming yours has all been.
Dude, I've gotten that same question.
Exactly.
It's a first time watching it. I've only got 13 freaking episodes. Well, actually more like 18. But
A lot of people-
13 episodes. It's like,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, there's
Go
a
watch the
story
earlier
here.
It's like
It's-
you have to put in the time if you're going to ask detailed questions.
It's like, dude, you tuned in to watch some D&D. This is what you're watching, okay? So it's
Yeah.
like, we joke around all the time because like somebody, if anybody asks that question, we say, hey, go reference and we tell them, stop the stream, go back and watch, go to YouTube, go boot up the old videos. You can go watch all that stuff and you come back later.
Bill, I do a complete prelude to the adventure the day before for a half hour on Wednesdays. So it's like there's a whole story, and I usually have one of these guys sit in with me and talk about the characters and what I don't give them too much information, but I even do that, and I'm still getting, but style's different. The style's different.
My viewers are lucky if they get 10 minutes out of me, and that's usually the reason they get 10 minutes is because we get caught up talking so much trash between each other. And
I
joking
noticed
around.
that, but banner's good, man. It's natural.
Yeah.
It's a natural thing, and I said to a lot of the viewers, I said, you're going to get us talking about the Eagles game, or you're going to get us talking about it's going to happen because it's all our friends playing together. If we can talk about Tim, I don't know what Tim's going to talk about.
The point of the game is social. That's the whole point.
Exactly. And that's what I'll say. I'll give DM Shane a lot of credit, man. He runs. He gets people enthralled into his site, and that's fantastic. So anyone who's watching, please note that Will's Return to the Bandit Kingdoms. It's Wicked Studios LLC. Throw him a follow, please. We host each other's sites. Okay, so. This is probably on his site right now. He runs Tuesday nights. I host his, so we each host each other's. As a courtesy, and it's working out great. But please, vice versa. Throw us both follows. We appreciate it. Things are going well. You're gonna find out all that other fun stuff very shortly when that affiliate thing comes up, man. You're gonna love it. You're gonna love it. Like the three stupid heads I got on the right side of my screen. You get 3 emoticons you can make yourself. So, and you can make them in chat, and you have your people in chat use them. You're probably, if you're watching the chat, you got people popping up. Yeah, depending on the.
Jay,
so
that's two stupid heads.
Well, yours is the middle head.
One that's not stupid.
Tim's, that's the critical hit head. Tim's
The
that
funny-
shit-eating grin.
The
That's the
funny
critical
thing is,
hit
I
head.
get Adam because Adam like produces the show for me. Because like I started to do it, and then when I brought Adam on, he's such a natural for this stuff.
Cool.
He took it over, and I said, "Go with it."
That's
You
good.
know? And it's like it's funny every time because he travels for business a lot, and so every time that he's like gone out of town,
Like last week.
and yeah, like last week, and we were an hour late because I had my computer. It needed to be like
Yeah.
I had some serious issues with it, and they're like the one time before that, it's like that was the episode that was called Technical Difficulties because, and it was bandwidth thing. I didn't have anything to do with it.
Yeah, it's
Like
funny.
anytime I'm doing, I screw it up.
But you know what? At least you got it running, right? At least,
Yeah.
see, you know, and like you said, I'm no genius on XSplit or whatever, but I really taught myself a lot of it. Just knowing that, you know, there's so much going on, you got to really, you know, but you,
Well, last week, it's like I'm going through and I'm doing everything. It's like, I do not know why these videos are not loading.
Right.
It's for the life of me. I restarted my computer,
and
but I didn't shut it down.
you restarted it. You didn't shut it all the way down.
Right.
Oh, man.
I was like, and he's like all talking to me. This is all before we go live, and it's like, well, did you do this? It's like, I'm telling you, I did it. It's like, okay, fine. Last course, I'm gonna shut it down. I shut it down and rebooted
Worked.
it back up, and everything was fine.
It's the these machines are fickle. You know, you
Well,
wonder sometimes why that happens.
I was going with the firmware and drivers that I was using really needed upgrading because I was I think I was telling you guys at the beginning there. It's like, and I had upgraded the drivers, but obviously the firmware interaction because of Windows 10 had done something.
Skype's the worst. This new Skype version eliminates embedding into XSplit and all this other stuff. And I don't know what we're going to do, you know. So they say they're going to have it corrected by the time they turn Skype 7 off. We'll see. I mean, because Mark Skype's in and everyone else is there live during the game. But, you know, we'll see. We'll see on that. So I'm going to put this out to the audience. Does anyone have any DM questions before we do a little quickie wrap up and everyone talks about what's going on? So... as that's going up, so Mark, when are you playing again?
Tomorrow night, actually. So
last one before you stream, right?
That's the hope. That is the absolute hope.
Beautiful.
So I'm going to see what Jacob's setup actually is, and we'll kind of take it from there.
Beautiful. So Mark's group runs Monday nights, Greyhawk. Every other Monday they do it. They don't do it every week like we do. The hope is Monday, 2 weeks from tomorrow night. Mark's group. What are you going to call? What are you going to call it? You're going to call it the adventuring party, the super lucky slap.
So let me give a little bit of background for it.
Go for it.
So essentially, we had as part of the Chapel of Silence, which was once again an old regular D&D adventure. It gives a Ring of Three Wishes inside of it, and the one character who I really shouldn't have allowed to have it got it. A guy by the name of Nebulous the Grey. And in a battle that happened after, one of the main fighters, who's a dwarf, ended up losing an arm. And the long story short of it, he made a deal with Neb, as we like to call him, to get his arm back. But it came with a little bit of a twist, that any time that he heard the word slap said, within earshot, he literally slapped his own face. And the fact of the matter is that it actually has happened many, many times in the middle of combat. So he gets ready to take a swing and ready to roll a 20-sided die, and somebody slap. And so he drops his weapon and he slaps himself across the face. He loses his attack roll. So later on, as they kept playing, they ended up, like, as a DM, we've all encountered this. You set something up that's just perfect. You know that, like, the last nemesis is going to be, it's going to take out, like, half the party. And not that, you know, you're trying to kill everybody off or anything like that, but you plan, you strategize, you've done all this stuff, and then somebody just happens to do the right thing at the right time, and you weren't ready for it, and it just, it made it like a non-event. So... The group is called, the actual mercenary group is called themselves SLAP, and I actually used it as an acronym for Stupendously Lucky Adventuring Party.
Right.
Nice.
Nice.
So,
And I've locked them into our rankings in Greyhawk, so they're in my group, they're in my campaign as we rank all the adventuring parties in Greyhawk City out of there from high to low, so they're at the bottom. So, but I got them on there for tie-in purposes and stuff.
oh, they'll be on there. They'll be up higher a lot sooner.
Yeah, I know. So,
Absolutely.
so we'll do Tim. So I know you're playing with your daughter and you're doing an Airbender version of D&D. Anything else?
Right.
Is that what you're doing still?
That's the next thing is, again, I'm still waiting. She's reading all her summer reading, so she's trying to catch up on that.
Okay.
But we're going to do the Dark Tower.
Oh, that's what you
nice.
told. Oh, dude.
With the benders. She doesn't have any idea.
Dude, it's my favorite Judges Guild of all time.
Yeah.
It's on our Wall of Fame, man. It's on our Wall
Yeah.
of Fame, Dark Tower, and it's long, dude. That's going to take you a year. It is a long adventure.
Usually for the campaign for that one, the campaign is. I don't know if you're all familiar with Avatar: The Last Airbender, the cartoon series.
Vaguely because of my
Yeah.
son, yes.
So basically, they're like martial artists, but they bend the elements, right?
It's an elementalist.
So, and they had the Avatar who embodied all four elements, blah blah blah. So
There's Walt.
my basic premise is that the Avatar was killed while in the Avatar state, which actually ended that, and so it kind of greatly reduced the amount of power they have in this study. So these are the followers of the Avatar. So they're greatly diminished, which it's better into the D&D experience points getting better, and you instead of just being able to do this stuff nonstop all the time, you can only do it. There's limitations on how many times a day you can do things and things like that. So,
But it's cool. I mean, you're doing it in family setting, so that's cool.
They're looking to recover lost scrolls that had the higher level,
Abilities.
techniques. They're like learning techniques from the scrolls to be able to do stuff. So usually, like the last adventure where the other half of my daughter's party went in and took out G1 and burned it down eventually. They're
awesome.
really super stealthy, and so they wend their way in, not alerting too many people, find what they need, and then leave. So they're not like on this grand quest to save the world, and they're not out for fame or money. Sometimes
They're out for knowledge.
it's hard to keep them at the table. It's hard to keep her like interested in drawing for treasure. I'm like,
That's good though,
But,
man. I mean,
it is.
I'm glad
She's
you're
like more like fun of it, and then she's like, nah.
I'm glad you're still cranking out the DMing, and that keeping it fresh. All right, Will. So, what do you got going on Tuesday? And tell everyone about what you got going at Wicked Studios.
Right now, we've got, of course, there's Return to the Banded Kingdoms, which is on Tuesdays at, I guess, let's see, 6. That'd be what, 9 o'clock Eastern time. I had
2 hour
to
difference.
count backwards.
That's cool.
So we've got that going on. Jairus has, that's the fellow who plays Raleigh in the campaign. He's actually going to be having, I'm going to say it wrong. I'll apologize. Sorry, Jairus. Ravena, I think, is the name of it, which is essentially, it's another game that's going to be on the Wicked Studios Twitch channel. It's going to be more of a political intrigue.
Ravena is the name of God, my brain just shut off.
Magic, it's
Not Gith.
Ravnica.
Ravnica. Okay.
Ravnica. So basically, we'll take out the K. Ravena. I'm pretty sure, and I could be mispronouncing it.
Okay.
It's still in production. So he's going to probably start doing that, if I'm not mistaken, in a month or two.
Okay.
And then, like I said, I will be having a second stream coming online probably sometime after February of next year.
You're going to be DMing it, or are you going to?
Yes,
Okay.
I'll be DMing it. And basically, when that comes up, when I say second, basically that means I'm going to still be running a Greyhawk orientated campaign, and then I will be running this newer one. This new one is going to be a homebrew campaign, so it won't be Greyhawk based.
You planning on hitting any conventions?
Right now, the first convention I'm actually planning on going to is going to be kicking off with Genghis Khan in Denver.
Okay.
And then I'm going to try and make it to, I want to go to Gary Con next year, and I want to go
Same here.
I want to go to Gen Con. So those are both on the strategy list to make it out to next year. I kind of man, I wish I would have been able to go and play at some of DM Shane's stuff down.
Mark
at,
did. Mark played.
I did, and he is an amazing storyteller. I mean, no offense, Jay, but I mean,
None taken, man.
the way that he
None taken,
actually
man.
weaves things is just unbelievable. It's literally it just is. So
He's a great he can like that, turn on a dime in a story, and I'm not that as adept at that. I'm more grand story tabletop
right
style with some but
creating
the campaign. It's all different.
Strategy and political styles is what we actually run.
Yeah.
More than anything else.
Yeah, a lot of politics. A lot of politics.
A lot of politics.
Shades of Grey, like one quick one. The shade of Grey that I talk about most is the Knights of the Holy Shielding. Half of them are freaking assholes, right? You know what I'm saying, Mark? Randall White and Chet Bluegrass and all those guys, man. They're fighting against the bad guys, but you really have a hard time working with them,
Yeah,
So
they always reminded me of, like, from the Dragonlance series, the Derek Soundcards of the world, the Knights of Solamnia.
Absolutely.
That were so tied to what it is that they actually do that they forget to see the world around them.
Good, Tim.
And that's part of it.
Sometimes some of the traits that make you a great warrior make you a bad neighbor.
That's it.
Yes,
That's it.
exactly.
Well, I'm sorry to cut you off. That I cut you off there on that. So I know you write some adventures too. I purchased one. It's really good, man.
Yeah. I had a Kickstarter not too long ago. As Mermaid's Blessing.
That's good.
I'm actually writing a follow-up to that, and I tell you what, it's like, man, talk about a crash course in publishing, because you have to format that stuff, and it's like, if that's the big thing that I'm like, oh my god, it's formatted like, well, that could have been spaced over here. I was super hypercritical of it after the fact, When I was in the middle, I was like, all right, let's hurry up and get this done,
Yeah.
So, but,
it's on Drive-Thru RPG. Everyone, it's called The Mermaid's Blessing. It's by Wicked Studios LLC, right?
Yep. You got it.
Okay, and I downloaded it. It's not that expensive at all. It's great. So I recommend, if you're 5e especially, I mean, I can back convert it as well. It's not that hard to back convert really from 5e down to first second. But yeah, give it a shot. Take a look at that. It's really cool.
The follow up to that, I'm hoping to have that wrapped up within the next 3-4 months. That includes the play test of it and whatnot. It's going to be the second chapter. It'll be a standalone, but it ties into the Mermaid's Blessing as well. So
Very cool. Sounds like the Assassin's Knot from Lakofka.
Yeah. So there's a lot of influence actually about that sort of thing. So yeah.
Cool.
I've become friends with Leonard and been talking to him about some stuff, and he gave me some of his old work, his old maps and stuff. Man, the detail level's insane. Of just the topography maps, like you made a topography map for the whole. I mean, how's this come into play in D&D? But he did it all, man. It's really crazy.
It doesn't, but it was fun.
Yeah, absolutely. It's
for the Rangers, Jay. It's for the Rangers.
Yeah, well, no, every little city detail, like the serving boys and how many blacksmiths there are in the building and stuff. I'm like, oh my god, the level of detail he did was fantastic. Then had a question I wanted to touch on. How do you guys generate a party that have goals that align with one another, even with a session 0 party? Here's the thing with my group, then. We know each other so long, I go in ahead of time and I say, we're going to start in Harby, or we're going to start in Greyhawk. Here's the general gist. Come up with whatever your backstory is, but here's the general gist of what the direction we want to go is in. They give me their character sheets. I look them over, and I discuss maybe some tweaks here and there, and the party tends to have a direction that stays for the most part. Maybe veering off here and there, but for the most part, because I've been playing with these guys for so long, they understand what I'm looking for. So it's all communication, man. So if you got some player characters in your group, or people who are playing in your group, you may. That want to be annoying or want to be against enjoyment of the whole group, you may have the wrong players. Now I'm not saying I'm not trying to be a jerk about it, but you may have the wrong players in your group. You may want to
I back that up 100%.
Yeah.
Know your players, and don't be afraid to ask somebody to step aside.
Absolutely.
Because you don't have to be a jerk about it. I've had to do it before. I'm sure everybody has. It's just a matter of, look, this isn't working out. It's a bad breakup.
Yeah, and we've had players come and go. We've got players come and go I'm still friends with.
You got the whole group to think about, not just like one person.
Absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Well, if you really do think about it, I mean, there's with all of our actual characters that we have, there's better interactions that you have with certain characters and certain NPCs, and there's other ones which are more antagonists to other NPCs or to other player characters
absolutely.
that are there. But I mean, granted, we have the ability to rely on 30 plus years worth of interaction with each other as friends growing up and so forth that it just comes more natural, I think, to us. But I mean, frankly, in my the group that I'm running right now, there's some dissonance between players, and not the players themselves, but between the characters that they're actually running. But
Nothing wrong with that.
No, it's not. It actually calls out a lot of different dialogue. But when the rubber meets the road, they're able to really focus upon what the needs of the party have to be.
Yeah, I tend to get I like unifying things for parties just because it sits better in my head for no other reason. I pretty much I'll have the party sit down and I ask them, give me a reason why you guys are all together. Make it something more than we met in a bar. That's I love family members. I love mutual ties to a church or a mercenary organization. Anything along these lines. I like that sort of stuff because it allows me to build more freely off of something than
you can
I have
develop
to get
stories. You can develop good stories off that,
Yeah, it gives me a built-in framework on which to start building stuff to include them in. And it's like for in Return to the Bandit Kingdoms, the one thing that was the unifying factor pretty much for all the characters was the fact they're from the Bandit Kingdoms. They were all pushed out at one thing or another, and they had one central area, and they all decided that they were going to get the hell out of Dodge because, well, Inus was killing folks. So it's so that was the unifying factor. Then all the other different stuff came afterwards as I got to know the different characters and where they were at.
And that's the key to being a DM too, is you gotta be flexible. You gotta make some changes here and there, and we've all done that, except for Tim.
No, I remember we started a party and I said I always wanted to have a party where everybody is like similar in some way, to be kind of like, I think it would be hysterical to have a party of all barbarians. It would just crack me up.
I've done that before. It was a
Or
lot of fun.
monks or all thieves, and we almost had it actually with the old guys with Panul and Greenleaf. Half the party was a thief class, either a fighter thief or illusionist thief, or so we had all those. So
And I had to
half
mess it up with a Cavalier.
was really quiet, so we had the other half was in full plate.
Actually, she was I had a fallen paladin. She went neutral. She went from paladin to Cavalier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So.
But I would tell you, I still have very, very fond memories of playing in that particular group. There was a lot of fun.
It was great times. And my favorite quick story on that is there was a lich called Sendar the Quiet, and there was nothing, no birds, animals at all in his land at all. It was dead silent. And this was one of Tim's, estate people, and no one went there. So Mark's character Panul, to be dick, he teleported or dimension doored into his land, cast a shout spell, and then left. So that was like a great story. I mean, for no reason other than just to do it.
Well,
So,
yeah, there was a reason because he's
so-
silent. You gotta,
absolutely. It was just, those stories stick with you for the rest of your life, Just like the story now that we got with Fen talking about the Moraine reading the books 2 weeks ago, the trilogy book she got. And it's always been, it's a running joke now online, which is great. So just wanted to say, guys, thanks, man. This has been a blast. I mean, we're having, we're going to do more of these. I'll do these like every 2 months, I think, just to talk about what's going on and the community and stuff. To toot our own horn here, we got Wednesday night, I'll do a prelude. The adventure we're going to run this Thursday is called Deal or No Deal, okay? And it's going to be a Greyhawk City adventure in the city with the group called the Grey Company, and they are all thief types. And someone's going to come to Galena, the head of the group, with an offer she can't refuse. And that's what I'll say. It's going to be all in Greyhawk City. So it's going to be a fun one. We'll do that on Wednesday. The next week's Gabbin, I put up Harvey. I think it's a good discussion point. Mark, what do you think?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, we'll talk about Harvey
there's
and how.
a lot of things that go on in Harvey.
Yeah, I think we'll do that next week.
Sister city to Greyhawk.
Yeah, Greyhawk. We can talk about Greyhawk, but Harvey has a lot less published about it, but it's vital to our campaign. So we'll talk about that, and hopefully right after that, in 2 weeks, you'll be up and running, and hopefully Tim will be stopping by occasionally. Now, we're working on that, but and then
he's luring me back in.
One more time online, I wanted to announce our first giveaway for Miniature Building Authority is the 20th of September. You don't need to be online if you're a subscriber. If you're a follower, you got to be on. We're going to give away a $25 gift certificate and a $75 one to our subscribers. And so we got a couple of those, and appreciate it, guys. Thanks on that. And one last big announcement. So DM Shane couldn't be on here. So he asked me instead if I would do a session with him. He's going to interview me and talk about how we think we have the longest ongoing campaign in the history, 38 years. I've talked to everyone on the sites, and we still think there's no one beyond that time. So he wants to sit down and talk with me. Okay, sounds good, hon. That was the wife. Talk with me about an hour about our campaign, which I said to Shane, thank you. I appreciate that. Set it up whenever. So that'll be coming down the road shortly. But other than that, anyone have any final things you want to say? I mean, like I said, it's been a great discussion. I thank you, Brian. Bugbears and Brews is his site on YouTube. It's basically a synopsis site, but like I said, Brian's a great DM, and he's a good friend of mine. We had some fun together in the WoW days. So, any other comments?
It's been a blast.
Yeah, dude. Well, thanks so very much, man. We wanted to get our viewpoint, and it was great. I mean, give us a 5e viewpoint and a viewpoint outside of our own little cabal. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So thank you so very much for that.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure. Thanks for
I
having me.
really look forward to great success of your site, man. I think it's only going in a great direction, man. So thank you so very much.
Thank you,
Tim. I'm so happy you hopped on. It was like you hopped on literally 10 seconds after Brian got off. It was perfect. So,
yeah, it was almost as if it was timed.
Yeah. And Tim,
planned.
Absolutely. And Mark, kudos to you and what you're doing out there with Jacob and everyone else. So you guys don't hang up. I'm gonna stop this stop the stream here. Once again, thank you all very much. Then Jacob and all the other followers we have. Thank you so very much for watching, and I'll see you guys Wednesday night on our Prelude. Talk to you soon. Have a good one, guys.